Nick, thank you so much
Yeah.
for coming on here and giving us some feedback. I
Mhm.
just got a couple of questions for you.
Good.
My first question for you is how long have you been a coach and or what is your coaching experience?
So coaching wise in CrossFit, not long at all. This was my first introduction actually to coaching in CrossFit. In the military, I was an instructor, but there's a large difference between instructing and teaching. Um,
Yeah,
in the military, people obviously just are forced to go to your class. Whereas coaching, you want people to come to your class and they want to choose. You want people to choose you. So it's a lot different. So public speaking, for the past 4 years. That was my job. But as far as coaching CrossFit, like I said, very new to it. And like this was my first introductory to it. So,
cool. Awesome. And what was your favorite thing that you learned in our coaches development course?
favorite thing that I learned in the course was, I wouldn't say necessarily something I learned, but it was understanding that people have the same faults that you do. And you want to be a coach that could give someone an effective cue. Because we've all had a moment where we've been frustrated trying to get something, and coaches have a way of just nailing a cue once in a while, and giving that to someone else they felt good, and getting uncomfortable in front of people and learning your mistakes before you actually going on to the coaching on the floor. So overall it was my
Awesome.
favorite part.
Cool. And little maybe sneak peek at the coach development course. You said being able to make some mistakes before going out onto the coaching floor. So part of
Yeah.
the coach development course that we have is there's a practical portion where you guys get to, in a controlled environment, practice some of your coaching skills where the whole thing's not on the line. You've got another coach there with you. You get to take portions of it and you get feedback on that as well. So very, very cool. My next question for you is, was the content in the coach development course helpful in taking you from a novice or beginner coach to the next stage where you want to be as a coach?
Absolutely. All did a grand slam job at actually putting effective material in there and not having any fluff in there. Everything you guys talked about and put in there, put on the slides and put in our workbooks was good information without getting too in depth on certain things. You gave us enough information to teach us effectively without it ever getting boring or getting dry or anything, because there's nothing worse than going through PowerPoint and you're just like, okay, we just talked about that. So everything was up to date with the current like science behind everything. Everything was simple and effective, which when you, like I said, going through a course over 10 weeks, a lot of stuff could get dry. So you nailed like exactly like the perfect amount of information and led us to finding our own things, as far as like the quizzes and stuff, making sure that we're retaining the knowledge and not drowning us in information.
Cool. Great. Love it. And my final question for you would actually be, what would you say to somebody who is looking to become a coach, but
Mm.
they aren't really sure where to start with their education or their certifications, or maybe the person who just finished their CrossFit level 1 and they don't feel like they're ready to take on classes? What's a couple of pieces of advice you would give to that new coach?
Well, this is a good one. For me personally, getting your level one and stuff, good. But allow yourself to be uncomfortable. Allow
Hmm.
yourself to find a program like our coaches development program, um, or a coach and a mentor that puts you in those uncomfortable situations, because you'll find out way more about yourself in those situations than you would just doing an online course, and where you're not really speaking in front of people. There's a whole difference between reading information, retaining it, and passing tests and quizzes, but you need to get in front of people and talk, because that's going to be your job. And if you don't do that and you're having trouble communicating effectively, start in small groups or start with one-on-ones, or just working with a coach and get in front of people, because it's a perishable skill. Like I said, I did it for 4 years
Yep.
as an instructor, and I would speak in front of 30 to 60 people, all the way from lower level people to 4-star admirals. And like I just took 2 weeks off from coaching during the CDP, and I came back yesterday and I said, wow, that was not my best performance. So just get uncomfortable and then stay in the flow of it, and don't let yourself fall back, and don't let yourself, oh, that was uncomfortable, or oh, I should have said this. Get better from that. It's okay to fail, especially at the beginning, and talking in front of people isn't easy. It's not. And you just got to keep going at it, keep chipping away, and find yourself a mentor like luckily we have here. And work with your coaches and use all the tools and add tools in the toolbox, and use other coaching styles to your advantage, and see what works for you and see what doesn't. And the only way you're going to be able to be a good coach is by practicing being a good coach. And it's a never-ending process.
Cool. That's fantastic advice for somebody. Luckily, I feel like we, with our coach development program, we nail some of those things that you're talking about. But I love that practice, even as a coach, is how you're going to get better. Awesome, Nick. I appreciate the feedback. You've been doing a stellar job in our program. You'll continue to do so, and I'm excited to see where you take this.
Thank you. I'm grateful for all the opportunities. Seriously. Great program. Recommend it to anybody.